welcome, Melissa, to HITLAB's 2023 Summit. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
My pleasure.
Wondering if you could please just start by introducing yourself, your name, your title, and the organization that you represent.
Sure. I'm Melissa Lohr. I'm the Chief Compliance Officer at FFF Enterprises.
That's wonderful. So can you start by explaining a little bit about your role at FFF?
Yes, I'm in charge of really making sure that the company has an effective compliance program. And there's many facets to that, but the pharmaceutical industry is a heavily regulated industry. So there's so many things that we have to make sure that we're doing correctly and according to the regulations. So that's my primary responsibility at the company.
Wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about what health equity and compliance means to you in healthcare?
Yeah, I think I just spoke today on health equity, and it's an issue that I'm very passionate about because it's shocking to me that we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and you see people who don't have access to good, high-quality health care. Mm-hmm. And it really is shocking when you start actually looking at the data. And so I really think at the end of the day, if we can't have a healthy population, nothing else works. And when we look at the impact to children, especially, who are growing up without the proper preventive care or doctor visits or vaccinations, this is really a problem for our future. So I think we have a lot of work to do. I think one of the silver linings of the pandemic was that it really brought to light some of these disparities in health outcomes that we have.
Yeah.
So hopefully people will start focusing on that.
Yeah. Wow, that was so profound. That was a great response. How are we going to be able to create more diversity and inclusion in the healthcare industry?
That has been an issue for so many years. I think we really have to go back to the pipeline, right? And it's about making sure that we have a more diverse student body in STEM fields. And I loved Kyle from the New York Economic Development Commission talked about the bio bus, where they, took this lab around to kids to expose them to the life sciences. Mm-hmm. And that's such an important piece of it, so that people start thinking about, could I have a career in the life sciences?
Yeah.
Should I go into STEM? Because we really need those scientists. We need the doctors. We need providers. And they don't have to be doctors. They can be nurses or nurse practitioners. But we really just need to get a more diverse group of people who are making decisions about healthcare, and that is how we're going to improve the health equity, because when we have diversity in the people who are making decisions, it's going to impact the outcomes.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm so happy you used that example. I volunteered for them in high school.
I love that. I heard him saying it. He spoke before I was on.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's so cool.
No, it's awesome. It's a phenomenal program.
I just had a bookmobile when I was...
My next question for you are, what areas of healthcare need more attention when it comes to equity and DEI work?
All of them?
Sure.
I think, but to pick out a couple, I think in terms of when we think about the development side of things, we absolutely have to look at clinical trials. Mm-hmm. And we have to say, how do we move more diverse subjects? How do we make sure that when we're putting these products out in the marketplace, we know how they're going to work, mm-hmm. and how and whether they're going to be safe in all the different populations of people who might try and take them, and whether or not there's a different impact or efficacy in those groups. So that, I think, is critical. And then when you look at, I had mentioned in my talk that I did support Merck for Mothers when I was at Merck, and the idea of maternal mortality, it is really such a shock. I think people don't realize how bad the situation is in this country. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Black women in the United States have a death rate of 70 people per 100,000 births is absolutely horrible. It's unacceptable for a country that has the wealth that we do. And we really need to work on that. So from my perspective, that's an area where it is almost entirely preventable, which makes it even worse.
That's an absolutely chilling statistic, and I'm glad you brought it up because more people need to know about it. How have you seen digital health change compliance and diversity and equity in healthcare?
Digital health tech really has made such a difference in the industry in the last I was going to say 5 or 10 years, but really, you can look at the telehealth that has really taken over, and it was frankly something that needed to happen. And there are a lot of things that I think that the pandemic accelerated, but that's one where I really think it has helped to expand access to healthcare. So when you're thinking about, health outcomes and equity, that ability to communicate with physicians, to get healthcare and treatment digitally is really critical. From a compliance standpoint, I think access to data, really helps you to focus on the areas where you need to make sure, at the end of the day, compliance is about making sure that our healthcare system is providing quality, appropriate care. Right. And so when you have more data to look at and you can really focus your compliance efforts where they're needed, that just ultimately leads to a more efficient system, reduces the waste and inefficiency, which again, hopefully increases the quality overall so that we can have better health outcomes for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And what else do we want than better health?
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, exactly. And then my final question for you is, why have you decided to come to HITLAB Summit?
It's funny, my prior company, which was focused on women's health, had a relationship with HITLAB, and so I was familiar with it, but I hadn't really gone to any of the events. And then when I joined FFF Enterprises, they had a relationship with HITLAB, and so I had the opportunity to come to the summit this week in New York City, and it's really just been phenomenal. I've had the opportunity to meet some really brilliant and talented people with such amazing ideas. I had the opportunity to put hands-on to some of the technology that they're developing, and that was really cool, something I wouldn't have gotten if I had just participated digitally or virtually, I should say. So it really was a great opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to being at more HITLAB events.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for your profound insight. I learned a lot from this conversation, so thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And good luck to you, the rest of your endeavors at FFF.
Great. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you, Melissa.